My name is Eleanor Margaret Thompson Ellie, to the few people who still call me that. I'm 69 years old. Last week, I deleted my daughter's number from my phone. Not out of anger, not because I've stopped loving her, but because she refuses to accept that I'm happy alone. 3 days ago, she texted again. Mom, I met someone perfect for you. Widower, 68, kind, stable. Just coffee. Please think about it. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without replying. 7 years ago, I would have said yes. 7 years ago, I did say yes, and that decision nearly stole the last good years I have left. Let me tell you what almost no one says out loud. Sometimes the deepest loneliness you'll ever feel is lying next to someone who doesn't see you anymore. My husband Paul died when I was 57, pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to the quiet morning when his breathing just stopped. Those first 2 years were brutal. The house felt cavernous. Sundays were the worst. We used to sit on the screened porch with coffee and the Sunday paper, feet touching under the table, not needing to speak. Without him, Sundays were fog-thick, disorienting, endless. I cried in the shower so no one would hear. I slept on his side of the bed so the sheets still smelled like him for a little while. But slowly, almost against my will, I found a rhythm. I started volunteering at the county library on Tuesdays, sorting books, helping kids with summer reading, feeling useful without being needed. I joined a quilting circle at the community center. We met every Thursday, talked about patterns and thread, not grief. I learned to fix the leaky faucet myself, rehang a door, plant tulip bulbs in the fall. It wasn't the life I'd imagined at 30, but it was mine. Quiet, steady, enough. Then the chorus began. My daughter, my sister, my friends. Well-meaning, insistent. Mom, you're too young to be alone. You deserve companionship. There are good men out there. At 62, I started to doubt myself. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was hiding. Maybe solitude was cowardice dressed up as independence. So when Janet from quilting said, Ellie, my cousin's friend, Robert, widower, 65, sweet as pie, can I give him your number? I said yes before I could think too hard. He called 2 days later. Gentle voice. We talked about books, about the town we both grew up in, about how strange it felt to date at our age. After a month of calls, we met for dinner at a little Italian place. He was kind, easy to talk to, told stories about his late wife without bitterness. Driving home, I thought, maybe this is what everyone meant. Maybe I was wrong to think I was better off alone. The first months were pleasant. Dinners twice a week, early bird specials, walks in the park when my knee allowed. It felt normal, like I'd been stubbornly resisting something good. Then the small things began. Morning calls to check in, lunchtime calls, evening calls. At first, it felt caring. Then it felt constant. If I didn't answer quickly enough, texts followed. Everything okay? Worried about you. One Wednesday, I was at quilting. Phone buzzed 5 times in my purse. I ignored it. 2 hours later, I called back. He was upset. I didn't know where you were. I thought something happened. I reminded him quilting was Wednesday. He said, I know, but you didn't pick up. I felt guilty, like I'd done something wrong by being unavailable for 2 hours. Weekends became his. Every Saturday he wanted plans, visit his son, go to the hardware store, try the new cafe. If I said I wanted a quiet day at home, his face would fall. Don't you want to spend time with me? I started saying yes when I wanted to say no, because who turns down someone who just wants to be close? Here's what no one tells you.
At 62, when a man shows interest, the world acts like you've won a prize. You're supposed to be grateful. So when you're tired, when you need solitude, when you just want one Saturday to read and nap and listen to the birds, you feel selfish, ungrateful, greedy for wanting your own life.
About 6 months in, every time his name lit up my phone, my shoulders tensed. Not excitement bracing. One night, he called at 10:50. I was in bed, reading, ready to sleep. I almost didn't answer, but I thought, what if it's an emergency? It wasn't. He just wanted to talk about his day, his son's argument with his wife, the sink that was leaking again. We talked until 12:15. When I hung up, I lay in the dark, exhausted. Not from the hour, but from carrying someone else's need. The next morning, my friend Carol called. Antique market Saturday? I'll buy lunch. I wanted to go so badly. We wander, don't talk much, share quiet moments. It restores me. But I pictured David wanting to come, making comments about prices, asking every 20 minutes when we could leave. I told Carol I couldn't. That night, alone in my house, I understood. My life was no longer mine. Not just my time, my energy, my peace, my right to be quiet when I needed quiet. The breaking point came 8 months in. Dinner at his place. He said, "I think we should move in together." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. He kept talking. Financial sense. We're together all the time anyway. Wake up together every morning. I went home and sat in the dark on the porch swing Paul and I bought in 1989. I thought about sharing this house, my routines, my silence. Panic rose in my throat. I ended it the next week. I can't do this anymore. He was stunned, hurt, angry. What did I do wrong? The guilt was crushing, but I told him the truth. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just not willing to give up my solitude. He called it selfish. Maybe it was. My daughter was disappointed. My friends didn't understand. You had a good man, Ellie. You won't find better. For weeks, I questioned myself. Then, one Saturday, I woke up and asked the only question that mattered. What do I want today? Not what does he want? Not what should I do? What do I want? I went to the antique market with Carol. I quilted without checking my phone. I read until 11 p.m. I slept when I was tired. I wasn't lonely. I was peaceful. It's been 7 years. I haven't dated since. I don't plan to. Not because I'm bitter. Not because I hate men. Because I finally understand. I said yes to David out of fear, not desire. Fear of being the single one. Fear of judgment. Fear that solitude meant failure. Now I wake at 7 o'clock. Make coffee exactly how I like it. Strong, black, no sugar. Garden when I feel like it. Read on the porch swing. Watch the cardinals at the feeder Paul put up 30 years ago. Go to bed when I'm tired. No one asks where I've been. No one waits for an answer. And I'm not lonely. I'm whole. There's a difference between alone and lonely. With David, the first was never alone, and I was lonelier than I'd ever been. If you're in your 60s or 70s and someone is pushing you toward a relationship because you shouldn't be alone, pause. Ask yourself, am I lonely or am I afraid? Because being alone doesn't mean you're failing. And being with someone doesn't mean you're not lonely. My body can't carry the emotional labor anymore. The constant checking in, the explaining, the guilt when I want silence. My heart can't either. So I chose peace. I'm not apologizing for it. Yes, holidays can sting. Yes, I see couples my age holding hands and feel a pang. But those moments pass. They're nothing compared to the slow erosion I felt when I was with someone who needed more than I could give. If you're in a relationship that drains you, You're allowed to leave, even at 65, 70, 80. If you're alone and people say you need someone, you're allowed to say no. At 69, I've learned my own company is enough. I don't need validation from another person to exist. I just need peace with who I am. And once you find that peace, you realize it's the most precious thing left. I live alone. I'm happier than I've ever been. That's not sad. That's truth. If you're watching this, tell me in the comments. Are you happy alone? Or are you happy in your relationship? Or are you somewhere in between, trying to figure it out? I read every word. It makes this quiet house feel a little fuller. Thank you for listening.